the Blade versus the Play. Which one we looking at today? Stay tuned. You're now rocking with Wakama. Let's go. So here's what we're looking at today. These two phones. I hate to do it. Let's go ahead and get into it. The specs. So on the Blade V8 Pro, we're looking at Snapdragon 625, 5.5-inch 1080p display. We're looking at as a 1080p IPS display. On the rear camera, we got two lenses, a dual lens. They're both 13 megapixel dual lens cameras. On the front, we've got an 8 megapixel camera, and the Snapdragon 625 clocked at 2 gigahertz, 3 gigs of RAM, and 32 gigs of internal storage. You got a speaker on the bottom, you got a fingerprint sensor mounted on the front, and with the Moto Z Play, very similar specs. You've got Snapdragon 625, 3 gigs of RAM, a 1080p AMOLED display on this one, Super AMOLED at that. You've only got one camera lens on the back that's 16 megapixels, and you've got a 5 megapixel on the front. You've got 32 gigs of internal storage. Both phones have external storage via micro SD card up to 128 gigs. Alright, so this also has a fingerprint sensor on the front. Both have USB-C for charging. And so let's go ahead and get into this. So first thing I want to talk about is the actual build quality between the two devices. So looking at between the Moto Z Play and the V8 Blade Pro, you've got obviously kind of an inspired kind of design. When you look at the back, it feels good in the hand. The Blade feels good in the hand, except it's got this rubbery texture, you know, and this rubbery texture is kind of, I was trying to get used to it, but it feels good in the hand, but just looking at it, it doesn't feel as aesthetically pleasing as looking at the Moto Z Play. And you can even change the texture and the cover by taking off the different mods and the different things that come. Well, it comes with a wooden style mod. But you can buy these different ones from Motorola. They have like a nylon, leather, whatever you choose. And if you just want to rock it straight, you can just go ahead and go straight with the glass look that is included. So, but as far as looking at the actual bezels and the edges of the phone, like if you take a look, you'll see it's very similar, but I do like the way that they actually chamfered the edges a little bit more on the the V8 Blade Pro. And the Moto Z Play, it looks good. I mean, it feels good in the hand. Very slightly chamfered edges. And for the most part, the build quality, I would say, goes to the Moto Z Play. So next, let's take a look at the actual display of the phones. Between the two, they're both rocking 1080p. The Moto Z Play has the AMOLED, and the V8 Blade has the IPS display. Now, however, between the two, when I crank up the brightness on the display, both of them get cranked up to, when I crank them both to max, the Blade V8 Pro is obviously way brighter than the Moto Z Play. But however, I think I like the colors a lot better on this AMOLED panel, because at least it's typically better on battery life, but that's a subject we're going to talk about soon. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit on this display here real quick. But the colors are a little bit more washed out. I've noticed that when you try to pull up your web pages and stuff, and I can do a comparison here with Google. Like if you go to google.com, I notice when I pull that up, you look at the colors on the G and the other letters, they all look a little bit more washed out on the V8 Blade Pro versus the saturated look of the Moto Z Play. But between the two, I would say the display is a winner on the V8. Sorry, on the on the Moto Z Play. And then software. Next thing I want to touch on is software between the two. This is kind of where it differentiates between what I would prefer versus what it doesn't matter. It's to some other people. So let's start with the Moto Z Play. On the Moto Z Play, you've got the Moto suite of apps. So from the Moto suite, you've got all different things that I personally use. I'm just going to put that as a full disclosure. I personally use these because I know it's just like with any phone, you've got some things that not everybody's going to use. So you've got Moto Actions, and under Moto Actions, you've got different things that you can do. You've got the Moto Display, like the Approach Moto Display, where anytime you get a notification, the screen lights up, or if you move your hand close to it, the screen will light up and show you your notifications, and then you can just kind of quick press the notifications and it'll show you what you have. Then you've got the chop twice for the flashlight, which I love using this in the dark. It's just so easy, so quick and easy. And let's see, and you also have the flip to do not disturb. So if you're getting a phone call or so, you can just flip it over. I forgot to turn the flashlight off. You can just flip it over, and then you kind of will just mute the call, so it's not going to bother you. You can also pick up the stop ringing. I haven't actually used that, but it's there. Swipe to shrink the screen. All you have to do is swipe down from a corner, and then you've got the smaller screen, and then you've got the twist and quick capture, where you can just open up the camera, you just wiggle the camera, and boom, you're in your camera. And once you're in the camera, you can just shake it again, and then you have the front-facing camera. And a lot of these options, I do use these. I do use a lot of these options. Also, Moto Voice. I've got my wake up command, and I use that often to check the weather, whatever else I need. It's there. It's super convenient. It's like there are very few phones that have the wake up option. Like the iPhones now have it. The Pixel, Google devices have it, and you've got Motorola. And I think Motorola does a really good implementation of it now. But yeah, I really love the software features with the Moto Z Play. And then when you got the V8, the Blade V8 Pro, it has some options here, some little gestures and things like that. Just gonna go ahead and pull this up here real quick. You've got the auto call, you've got the auto answer, you've got the flip to mute, snooze to stop alarms, and not all of these options work. I've been using this thing for a couple weeks, and not all of these work. You've got the shake to turn on the flashlight. So they took and honestly, it's kind of handy, but it's not as handy as the Moto Z Play, because when you shake, you can only shake the camera from the lock screen. You can't use it when the screen is on and any of your apps or anything else. You can only do it from the lock screen. Then you also have an option here for turn off the speakerphone. So if you have the speakerphone on, what you're supposed to be able to do is put the phone to your ear, and the speakerphone minimizes, and you just get the effects of that, the earpiece for your phone. So not all of these things really work as far as I've tried. The ones that I do use or try to use, I've tried to use the auto answer, and when I get a phone call, I'm supposed to be able to put it to my ear, and it's supposed to answer the call. But I've missed a couple of calls because I keep trying to go back and forth trying to put the earpiece. I'm not sure if my ear's not lined up correctly. But yeah, some of these things, these little software tweaks need to be worked out. So, but they also have the 3-finger pinch to screenshot. So I use that often, and that works pretty well. So it's kind of a trade-off with the software. Some things work, and I believe they could be fixed with a software update. But overall, on a day-to-day basis, the software is stock Android between both devices, and so you're not really going to have a lot of hiccups and things like that. But however, I will say Moto Z Play lately, the last couple days, because I've made this my main device because they actually put out an update for this, and since the update, there are a couple quirks with the software. I've noticed a couple times that it froze up on me. I never had to reboot the phone or anything, but it has frozen up, and I believe some apps have actually closed on me. So I don't know. I'm waiting for that nougat. Motorola, I'm waiting for that nougat. So next thing I want to talk about is the battery. This Moto Z Play has a battery capacity of 3510 milliamps. So you got a 3,510 milliamp hour battery, and then you've got like a 3,100 milliamp hour battery in this. And I will say, battery life for me has actually gotten, I actually get a little bit more battery life on this phone in comparison to this one. So I get nearly 10 hours, maybe like 9 hours and 40 something minutes, or 9 hours 50 something minutes max. I think my best battery life on this, and best battery life I've had on this is about 9 hours 22 minutes or so. Average about 8.5 hours. This one's 8 hours and like 46 minutes or so. I'll have that included in the video. But as far as gaming on both of these devices, I'm probably going to have to do an updated gaming review. I did a Moto Z Play gaming, but I did some light gaming. I'm going to actually see if I can push this thing to the max and do some heavy intensive gaming. So I'm actually going to probably do another video on that. But shout out to Miguel for he actually pushed this phone to the max, and he got like maybe 3 hours screen on time or so, and that before the phone flunked out. So ultimately, this is probably, the 625 is probably not what you're going to really want to game on, but I'm going to see if it's software optimization or if it's just pure hardware that won't allow you to do gaming for long periods of time. So with that, I'm also going to just go ahead and get into this camera. The camera's on both. I've taken some pictures with both phones, and taken some pictures and videos, and I'm actually let that speak for itself. So we'll go ahead and roll that footage, and then we'll come right back. So this is a low light test. V8 Blade Pro versus Moto Z Play. Low light test. V8 Blade Pro. V8 Blade Pro. Moto Z Play. Alright, so side by side we are taking a look at the Moto Z Play versus the ZTE Blade V8 Pro front facing, no sorry, not front facing, but rear camera. So you can take a look here at the difference between the colors, looking at the ground, the gravel. Take a look here at the sky. And let's also see if we can do some focusing here. See how quick it focuses on subjects. So I'm just at the park. Let's go ahead and take a look at this pine cone. Alright, back out. Back in. See which one focuses a little bit better. Let's go ahead and take a look at some colors now. I know I'm not in the area where there's a lot of color, but it is what it is. There's a little bit of grass, a little bit of green. It's we're just a little bit out from springtime here in Greensboro. To me, even just looking at the blade, it looks like a little bit washed out. I guess I'm a little bit more natural colors. I guess that's all going to be preference. But overall, pretty good quality, pretty good. So the Blade V8, I believe, has a little bit more detail. Well, let's see, but either way, this is the rear test, and I'll be conducting the front-facing camera in a second. All right, once again, this is testing the front-facing camera. Which one has better colors? The blues. Which one has better details? Which one has better audio quality? Just want to make sure I'm not holding the mic on either one of these phones. Which one has better stabilization? All right. So that's the front-facing camera. Back to the review. So all in all, the camera, I would think, all in all, overall, the camera between these two, it seems like you can get some excellent shots with this, especially when it comes to the blur effect with the Blade Pro, and then also the camera's not too shabby with the Moto Z Play. And then also lastly, just want to kind of touch on the last thing here, the fingerprint sensors. For the most part, they're pretty close. Maybe I think the Moto Z Play may edge out a little bit as far as responsiveness, but it's still pretty good. But overall, for me, because you're looking at a $200 price difference between these two. You've got this at $229, and then you've got the Moto Z Play at $450 for the unlocked model. What would I say that you should get? I don't know. That's kind of up to you. For me, my own personal preference, just for the fact that you got the options to customize this thing, I actually enjoy the software experience a lot more. I like the Moto Z suite of apps. They have their own unique things that they're trying to do, like the flip to snooze the alarm, and it doesn't quite work. There's some software refinement that needs to be done on this V8 Blade Pro for me to be able to use, to really recommend this over the Moto Z Play. So for me, honestly, personally, I would personally stick with the Moto Z Play. But if the price range is outside of your target, that's outside of your target demographic, I would just go for the Blade V8 Pro. If you're just looking for a Snapdragon 625 base phone with 3 gigs of RAM, 1080p display, 5.5-inch screen, I'm saying if you're looking for something similar to this, you can either go with the Blade V8 Pro, or you can even go with the Moto G4. Just saying. But appreciate you rocking out with me. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos.